Discover the incredible truth. 5 years after his death, she encounters her shifter ex-husband. The rain poured down relentlessly, soaking the earth as Emma Thompson rummaged through the attic of her childhood home. 5 years ago, everything changed. Jake, her husband, had disappeared without a trace, leaving heartache and unanswered questions. As a waitress at the local diner, Emma poured every bit of herself into making ends meet for her vibrant daughter, Lily. With each clank of plates and every forced smile, she tried to stay afloat amid a sea of grief, the whispers about Jake's disappearance hanging around her like a dark, suffocating cloud. And the dim light of the attic, her fingers brushed against a dusty box. Curiosity tinged with dread filled her as she pried it open. Inside lay remnants of a life once filled with laughter: Jake's old uniform, baseball caps from Little League games, and photos of happier days. But then something caught her eye. A crumpled note, faintly scrawled, flitted between the memories like a spider's web, catching her breath in its fragile grasp. "I need to protect you." As she unfolded the note, she unearthed an eyebrow-raising photograph tucked beneath it, revealing Jake transformed into a magnificent wolf. Her heart raced, questions bubbling to the surface. Who was he really? What did he need to protect her from? The fragments of her memory twisted and reshaped into a puzzle that made no sense. But before she could dive deeper into this revelation, an urgency rippled through the town. The whispers escalated into shouts. A figure had been seen in the woods, a tall man with wild hair. Moments later, standing in the downpour beneath the old oak tree, Jake emerged, the same as the day he vanished, but his eyes held a depth she had never seen before. Shock rippled through her as he took a step forward. "Emma," he called, his voice steady despite the thunder rumbling above. She felt the weight of countless gazes on her, watching, judging. How could he have returned after they buried him? She was frozen, torn between heartbeats of hope and ripples of resentment. Questions flew as neighbors peered from behind curtains, some with astonished expressions, others with narrowed eyes, whispering conspiracies that clung to the air like smoke. Then came Lily, running into the yard, her laughter ringing clear against the storm. But could their reunion break the binds that had held their family captive for too long? Jake reached for Emma, but her chest felt tight, memories of her struggles crashing against the tender memories of their love. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Fear crawled beneath her skin as Jake stood beneath the rain, waiting for her response while the storm continued to grow. Emma wondered, could love transcend the barriers of their past? As she tried to find her voice, a sudden vibrant burst of energy flared from the backyard. Lily, playing obliviously, triggered a glowing apparition, shimmering with otherworldly light. Emma gasped, heart racing. The truth knocked against her. Embracing Jake might mean facing the extraordinary. Would rolling the dice on love and family pull them together or tear them apart forever? Rain trickled down Jake's cheeks, mingling with droplets from the sky, as he stood before Emma, his heart racing. She looked just as he remembered, yet clouded by sorrow. Their eyes locked, and for a heartbeat time froze. Around them the world morphed into a blur of rain and whispers. "Jake?" Her voice wavered, catching in her throat as disbelief collided with instinct. "But how?" "I know it's hard to understand." Jake stepped closer, the weight of his absence heavy upon her. The town had mourned him, buried the memories while she had grieved alone. "But I came back for you," for Lily to explain. The mention of their daughter turned Emma's attention. Lily was tumbling in the mud, shrieking with laughter, her innocence untouched by the heavy cloud hanging over her mother. Emma's heart ached at the sight, caught between the joy radiating from Lily and the turmoil growing within her. "Explain what?" Emma demanded, pulling herself together. "After 5 years of silence? You just reappear, and I'm supposed to be grateful? Please," he pleaded, his brow furrowing with pain. "It's not that simple. I had to leave to keep you safe. I didn't have a choice." "Safe from what? Is this about that picture?" Emma waved the photograph, her frustration stemming from years of unanswered questions. The soft edges of hope she had built were crumbling fast. If only you knew the truth, he sighed, casting a glance at the woods beyond the yard, where shadows danced under the heavy rain. There are things, creatures, a world you can't imagine. And one of them. Stop. Emma shook her head, her voice trembling with a mixture of disbelief and anger. What kind of explanation could possibly bridge the gap of 5 years? You left Jake. You left me to raise our daughter alone. And now you expect me to just— Emma, please listen to me. His desperation tugged at her heart. I didn't just abandon you. There are forces out there that you don't understand, and I had to protect you both. Lily, unaware of the emotional storm, ran to them. Mud splattered across her cheeks like a joyful mask. The sight of her daughter made the air crackle with warmth. She reached for Jake, who knelt to meet her gaze. Daddy! Lily squealed, her laughter breaking through the tension like sunshine. The sheer innocence in her eyes melted Emma's resolve, but fear tightened around her heart. Do you want to hear my story? Jake asked, his voice lowering to a near whisper, intent on making her feel safe. Emma hesitated. What story could justify all these years? But before she could muster the courage to respond, another surge of energy rippled through the atmosphere. The apparition that had flickered earlier in the backyard began to pulse, insistent and bright. Mom! Look! Lily pointed, her eyes wide with wonder. The glow transformed into a figure of silvery light, shaping and reshaping with each breath. Emma's breath caught in her throat. This was no ordinary phenomenon. What in the world, she murmured, as Jake's gaze flickered between her and the apparition, an expression of recognition crossing his features. Emma, Jake whispered, his tone turning grave. They have found us. We don't have much time. The stakes had just risen dramatically, intertwining their fates as whispers of danger loomed closer. Could she trust Jake anew, let down her guard? Tension crackled in the air, as the storm outside raged on, mirroring the chaos within Emma's heart. She faced a choice more significant than her own fear. Could she guard her family together and face the extraordinary? In that moment she realized, breaking free from the past might mean stepping into a world of shadows and light. Would she be able to embrace it? Or would the specters of their lives tear them apart once again? Lily's laughter echoed brightly against the silhouette of the glowing figure, cutting through the tension like a knife. Emma felt torn, wanting to dive back into the joyful embrace of her daughter, yet being pulled toward the weight of Jake's presence. His urgency pressed down on her like the rain soaking into the earth. What do you mean they've found us? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, fear clenching at her throat. The glowing figure flickered again, sending a ripple of light dancing across the dark yard. They're coming for me. For both of you if we don't leave now, Jake said, rising as if propelled by adrenaline. Emma could see the shadows beneath his eyes, marking the toll of whatever he had been through. Lily, still mesmerized by the apparition, twirled and laughed. Mom, look. It's so pretty. Lily, sweetheart, Emma said, her voice trembling with urgency. We need to go. Now. She knelt in front of her daughter, trying to keep her own fear from spilling over. Can you do that for me? Lily looked back at her mother, then at Jake, her little brow scrunching in confusion. But what about the light? In that moment Emma's heart ached. The burden of a choice loomed over her. This was a world she had tried hard to forget, the world Jake had pulled them from. For 5 years she had shielded Lily from the shadows of their past. But now those shadows were back, swirling around them, hungry and alive. Maybe it's calling for you, Jake said softly to Lily, crouching to her level. Maybe it wants to help us. His voice had softened, each word carefully chosen, as if he were trying to steer both her and their daughter towards safety. But that light is dangerous if we don't take control. Emma's grip tightened on Lily, protective instinct flooding her veins. What does that mean? Jake, you can't just show up and throw everything into chaos. I'm not throwing anything into chaos, Emma. I fought to come back, to keep you safe. And now they're here. I don't have all the answers, but trust me when I say we have to run right now. The intensity in his eyes burned brighter than the apparition flickering behind Lily. The winds picked up, whispering through the trees, joining the chaotic symphony of rainfall. Emma felt the world tilt beneath her feet as reality swirled towards the unknown. She searched Jake's face, a mixture of anger and desperate hope flooding her heart. Lily tugged at her mom's hand, giggling as the figure shrank to the size of a glowing orb, dancing in circles. Look, Mom. It likes me. With a heavy sigh, Emma wrestled with her instincts. If she let go, would she be pulling her daughter into danger? But if she held on too tightly, would she risk keeping them trapped in a life overshadowed by unanswered questions? Jake, Emma breathed, hesitation threading through her words. If we leave, there's no going back. You know that. I'm not asking you to go back. His voice softened again, a hint of vulnerability rising through the turmoil. I'm asking you to step into a world of possibilities. One where we can be a family. A real family. Before she could respond, the apparition floated closer, casting an ethereal glow around them. The warmth radiated from it, edging out the cold rain that soaked Emma to her core. Everything within her screamed to turn away, yet something in the light both beckoned and terrified her. Mom, it's beautiful. Lily shouted, her eyes sparkling with joy. Jake extended his hand towards the glowing orb, looking back at Emma, searching her eyes. You have to choose, Emma. Now. And there, in the heart of a storm, surrounded by love and fear, she felt her heart pull toward both paths. Could she trust him again? Would she dare to embrace a world she had shut out for Lily's sake? Tears of frustration filled her eyes. I'm scared. As the orb pulsed brighter, splashing warmth against the chill, Jake's expression softened. So am I. But I won't let you face this alone. Promise. Whatever she chose next would change everything. The air thickened with the weight of decisions yet to be made, the ground beneath them, shifting with the world closing in. Let us move, she finally whispered, a mix of determination and fear breaking free. But just as they turned to leave, a dark shape loomed in the distance, casting an ominous shadow that pierced through the rain. Emma! Jake shouted, eyes wide as the threat became clear. We have to hurry. Emma glanced over her shoulder, dread pooling in her stomach. The time for decisions had run out. Would they run toward the unknown or face what was racing toward them? The moment of truth was upon them, and all Emma could do was take a step forward into the darkness. The air shimmered with tension as the dark shape drew closer, a silhouette against the stormy sky. Emma's heart raced, the rhythm of panic pounding in her ears. What was coming for them? She glanced at Jake, who was already moving, urgency pulling him towards the tree line where the shadows thickened. Mommy, I'm scared. Lily's voice cut through the chaos, filled with innocence and confusion. Her tiny hand was still clutching Emma's, a lifeline in the storm. Hold on to me, sweetheart, Emma whispered, her own fear bubbling beneath the surface. Just stay close. They began to run, the soft glow of the orb trailing behind like a guardian spirit. Emma found it hard to breathe, each stride heavier than the last. Jake led the way, glancing back at them, his face a mask of resolve. A part of her wanted to trust him completely. This was the man she once loved, the father of her daughter. But the shadows of their past loomed large, reminding her of the pain, the loss. As they dove deeper into the woods, the branches clawed like fingers, hungry to hold them back. But Jake's presence steadied her. Unyielding. Protective. Keep running. He shouted, urging them on. I'll explain later. Just trust me. Trust. It was a word that felt foreign now, frayed at the edges like an old piece of fabric. Yet there was no time for complications. There was only the fear gnawing at her insides. They burst into a clearing, the rain cooling their heated skin, but the energy in the air shifted. What now? Emma gasped, trying to catch her breath as Jake surveyed their surroundings. Over there. He pointed to a dense thicket, heavy with underbrush. We can hide there for a moment. They won't see us in the shadows. They scrambled into the thicket, limbs tangled among the wet branches and leaves. Emma settled Lily against her chest, enveloping her in warmth, trying to shield her from both the cold and the encroaching darkness. The shapes emerged from the trees, dark forms moving with an eerie grace. Emma's heart dropped as she recognized the slick outlines, shadows shifting into familiar shapes intermingled with the fading light. The night was alive with their soft growls, their eyes swirling with the same glow of the orb that had led them here. Are they? Emma began, the words barely forming on her lips. But Jake was already 10 steps ahead. Don't look at them. Just focus on me, okay? He said, his voice firm. They're not here for Lily. They want me. More growls. Emma felt her skin prickling with fear. But why? What do they want? They want to pull me back into the fold, Jake replied. Intensity etched on his face as he kept his eyes on the figures. This is a warning. They think I've gone soft. The orb pulsed brighter, revealing glimpses of the shifters in the corner of her eyes. Shapes shifting from human to animal and back. A low growl vibrated through the air, resonating deep within her core. Mom! Lily squeaked, the sound trembling with fright. I know, love. Just hold tight, Emma croaked, panic washing over her as the shifters moved closer. Every instinct screamed to flee, but Jake stood firm, shielding them, like a wall of courage against the tide of fear. This isn't just about us anymore, Jake said, his voice catching slightly, revealing depth that went beyond mere desperation. I need to show them I can protect my family. It's time I take a stand. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Emma felt each heartbeat echoing in her ears. Could he truly defend them? Would he turn back to the shadows he once embraced for the sake of their little girl? The air in the thicket vibrated with tension as a deep growl pierced through the silence, calling out to Jake. The moment stretched, thick with unspoken truths and uncertainty. Emma held on tightly to Lily, her heart a swirling mix of dread and desperation. We can't just sit here, she urged, but Jake shook his head, determination etched into his stance. Then we'll fight. Together. Emma looked over her shoulder. The shifters were advancing. Decisions raced through her mind like wildfire. This was more than a fight. It was about survival, about family, about everything they had lost and the eye of the storm. Emotions boiled over. Emma had to ask herself, could she step into the unknown? Join Jake in this world that had once torn them apart? The growling intensified, closing in, and the only way out was through. Jake, she said, barely breathing, are you ready to face them? Because if you are, so am I. But just as she spoke, the first shifter lunged, glistening teeth bared, and the choice struck Emma like lightning. Would they confront the shadows, or would they let them swallow them whole? The answer lay just beyond the thicket. The moment frozen in time shattered like glass. Emma's heart thudded violently. The glint of sharp teeth flashed in the dim light, and instinct propelled her. Move! She screamed, yanking Lily deeper into the thicket, pushing through the tangled branches as Jake shouted behind them, his voice an anchor in the chaos. They scrambled, fueled by adrenaline, Emma's breath coming in short, desperate gasps. Panic clawed at her throat, but her priority was clear. Protect her daughter. The shifter lunged, but Jake intercepted it, his body colliding with the beast. A sudden burst of motion that reverberated through the clearing. Mommy, I can't see. Lily cried, fear thick in her voice. Emma pulled her closer, feeling the steady tremor in her tiny frame. You have to trust me, Lily. Just stay close. Don't look back. Jake wrestled with the shifter, its growls reverberating like thunder. But he didn't relent. Emma could see the determination in his eyes, burning fiercely against the mounting shadows. He was fighting for them, for something deeper than just the moment they were reclaiming a bond, a family. Get ready, Jake shouted, and Emma didn't need to ask what he meant. They had to move. The growls erupted into a cacophony of snarls and howls as more shifters approached, their forms blending with the darkness. Emma's mind raced. This fight was theirs to take, but how? Did they even stand a chance against these creatures? But deep down, she felt an unshakable instinct to stand by Jake, her heart synchronizing with his fierce resolve. Now, he yelled, throwing the shifter back. It stumbled but recovered, its eyes fixed menacingly on Jake. We have to create space. As if powered by some unseen force, Emma darted forward, dragging Lily behind her. Just before they broke through, Emma turned back, her voice shaking like a leaf. Jake, what if the words caught in her throat, choking her fear? I'll hold them off, he said. Confidence laced with a hint of uncertainty. Just go. Something shattered inside her. The urgency of his command felt like a knife to the heart. Leaving him? No. They were a team, a family. I'm not going without you. But in that instant, the first wave of darkness crashed down on them. With a primal instinct, Jake swung, deflecting the shifter's claws mere inches from his face. He turned back, a flicker of desperation dancing in his eyes. We can't let them divide us. In a heartbeat, Emma felt strength flooding through her veins. She wasn't just a mother. She was a protector too. Together. Lily clutched Emma's waist, her little fingers digging in. "We can do it, Mommy." The words coursed through Emma like electricity, igniting a fire deep within. She needed that spark. They needed to unite, the three of them, within this storm. They lunged forward as one, pushing through the chaos, hearts pounding in synchrony. With a burst of newfound courage, Emma faced the nearest shifter, her eyes locking with Jake S. They choreographed their movements, like an unspoken dance of survival. Yet, looming over them, shadows danced, morphing into forms that threatened to swallow them whole. The clearing seethed. The pack's growls encircled them, relentless and dark. Just as Emma felt the tide rising too high, a sudden flash erupted from the orb, illuminating the shifters' faces. It revealed something she hadn't expected. Fear. Confusion. They weren't just hunters. They were prisoners of something much darker. What Emma stammered, but before she could process, Jake shouted, "Follow my lead." As the realization settled in, another shifter lunged, and all thoughts of escape fled her mind. The danger was clear. They had to embrace the fight, tap into whatever bond remained, or they would indeed be consumed by the darkness. And a flash of instinct, Jake swung open an ancient door of possibility, one that could either save them or lead them deeper into peril. "We have to make a stand here. We have to fight together." But as they faced the tide of shadows, an unexpected voice whispered through the chaos, unnerving and familiar. "Jake, do you really think you can protect them?" The question hung heavy, filled with a darkness that stretched far beyond the forest, beckoning despair. Emma felt her heart race, every instinct screaming to confront the looming figure who had dared to challenge their fragile unity. "Who's there?" she yelled, her voice steady despite the quaking inside her. The shadows parted slightly, revealing a face she thought she'd never see again. "Will you let him lead you into your end?" A chilling sense of foreboding washed over her, a choice lurking just at the edges of the light. Each second that ticked by felt like a lifetime, and Emma knew that whatever truth emerged next would either shatter their world, or turn them into something unbreakable. What secrets were these shadows hiding? And how far was she willing to dive into this darkness to protect what remained of her family? The air crackled with tension. Every heartbeat echoed in the depths of the forest. Emma's eyes darted between the looming shadows and the face that had once been a part of her life, a life now shrouded in memories and regrets. "Mark," she breathed, recognizing the familiar features etched in fear and something else darker. The man she had lost was now standing before her, manifested from the very darkness they faced. "Emma," he said, his voice slicing through the chaos like a knife. "You shouldn't be here. None of you should." Lily whimpered, clutching Emma's waist tighter, sensing the sudden chill in the air. Emma instinctively shielded her daughter, but Mark's piercing gaze remained locked on her, filled with a deep urgency. "Listen to me." Mark's desperation broke through the shifter's growls. "They're not just after you. They're after me." "What do you mean?" Jake interjected, stepping protectively in front of Emma and Lily. "You think we're going to believe you after everything?" Emma's heart ached at Jake's words. Could she truly trust the man who had once promised to protect them? Mark's form flickered slightly, shadows playing around him like restless spirits. "I'm not the same. I didn't choose this. None of them did." His voice trembled, a haunting echo of the love they once shared. Mark glanced around, shifting from one shadow to the next. "They're being controlled, Emma, by something much more sinister. We can't let them drag you down too." The truth hung between them like a fragile thread. Emma felt it tug at her heart, pulling her toward the man she thought she buried along with their past. "What do you want us to do?" she asked, courage blooming inside her, fueled by the imminent danger and the distant flicker of hope. Mark's eyes softened for a split second. "You have to help me break the bond that holds them. If we don't, they will overpower you and I'll lose you again." The words felt like a jolt of lightning. Emma looked to Jake, who was visibly wrestling with the implications. Could the one they had mourned also be their key to survival? "We don't have time," Jake snapped, urgency spilling over as he fought against the rising tide of shifters. "We need to get out of here." But just as Jake whipped around to assess their next move, a shifter lunged toward them, snapping its jaws dangerously close to Lily. Emma shielded her daughter in a fierce embrace, the world closing in. "Wait, I can help," Mark interjected. "I still hold the power to fight them. Trust me, Emma." His words rumbled through Emma, forcing her to confront not just the current danger, but everything she had held onto for years: the pain, the memories, the twisted love. "Mark, if we do this, if we fight with you, what will happen to our family? Promise. I will protect you." The shadows swayed and the shifters grew restless, eyes glinting with feral hunger. Each growl shook her to her core, but deep within her, the call to unify with Mark sparked an ember of warmth. Could he truly be there to help? "Okay," Emma said, her voice steady, locking eyes with both Mark and Jake. "We fight together. But if we're doing this," her heart raced as she waved her hands to gather their attention. "It's all or nothing. We bring everything we have." As that final word left her lips, the shifters surged forward, and together they stood on the brink of chaos, the ghost of a family intertwined in the living nightmare of shadows. Suddenly, Mark stepped forward, inviting the surge with fierce determination. "We'll channel the love we had. It'll be our greatest weapon." And with a collective breath, they prepared to confront their darkest fears. As the first wave crashed against them, Emma felt the familiar light within rise like a phoenix from the ashes, igniting with fury and a fading hope. Would this unlikely alliance truly be enough to reclaim their family from the darkness? Or would the shadows consume them all, unraveling every thread they had sewn together? The first shifter lunged at them, teeth bared, but Mark sprang forward, a figure of fury and desperate love. The shadows swirled around him as he raised his hands, and Emma felt the air crackle with energy. "Now, Emma!" he shouted, and she dove beside him, summoning her own spirit that had lain dormant for so long. Together, they formed a shield of warmth amid the freezing shadows that threatened to engulf them. As the wind whipped around her, Emma glimpsed Jake and Lily at the corners of her vision, their faces taut with fear. She focused on the strength of their bond, not just with Mark but as a family. "Remember the stories," she whispered, channeling the memories of bedtime tales, of love stories with happy endings. "Let us weave them together." Mark's voice echoed in agreement, drawing power from their shared history. The shadows hesitated, sensing the shift, as if they felt the flicker of hope threatening their grasp. One of the shifters snarled and advanced, but instead of horror, Emma felt an unexpected rush of compassion. "They're not monsters," she shouted over the growls, her heart aching with understanding. "They're victims." The moment those words left her lips, a flicker of recognition passed through the nearest shifter's eyes. Emma saw the struggle within its dark depths, the glimmer of a soul trapped in torment. "Mark, we can help them. We can save them." Mark's brows furrowed, but he nodded decisively. "Channel that compassion, Emma. Let the warmth of your heart break the chains binding them." Around them the shadows rumbled and writhed, but the energy they had summoned began to push back. Emma felt the light inside her glimmer brighter, as if each word and thought of love emanated a blinding force against the dark. "Lily, focus on me," she called, turning to see her daughter's wide-eyed wonder. "You're stronger than you know. Remember when you faced your fears at the school play? How you shone in the spotlight." Lily hesitated, but then Emma saw the spark ignite within her daughter. "I can help too," Lily whispered fiercely. "I'm not scared." As mother and daughter linked arms, their resolve felt unstoppable. Shadows recoiled, the shifters hesitated, wrestling against an invisible bond. And then, without warning, everything exploded into chaos. Mark struck with purpose, using the energy they'd woven together to push the shifters backward. Emma's heart raced, steadying her breath as she felt the love that had once defined their family grow stronger, a divine fire flickering across their bond. But as they pushed forward, another shifter broke free from the thrall of darkness, lunging directly at Mark. Time slowed as Emma screamed, "No!" He turned just in time, their eyes locking, and for the briefest moment, memories flooded back, every shared laughter, every tender embrace. Could those moments be enough to save him now, to bring him back fully? Before she could take a breath, Mark's figure shimmered with light, the shadows recoiling in fear. "Emma, keep pushing. Together." Just when it seemed the tide would turn, a powerful, chilling voice cut through the air like glass shattering. "Stop. You know not what you're meddling with." A figure cloaked in darkness stepped forward, silhouetted against the chaos. The shifters froze, and suddenly, tension hung thick as silence fell. Mark frowned, stepping slightly in front of Emma and Lily, his determination igniting anew. "And who are you to command them?" he spat. The dark figure laughed, a sound that sent shivers down Emma's spine. I am the one who controls them all. You think love will save the day? A wave of uncertainty washed over them. Emma could feel the pulse of danger pulsing ahead. Would their rallying strength hold against a foe that commanded the very shadows stretching toward them? But what if love is just the beginning? Emma thought, her heart pounding with renewed hope. As fear clashed with courage, another battle loomed on the horizon, a battle not just for survival, but for the very soul of their family. What awaited them next could tip the balance. Would the light be enough to break through the darkness, or was this merely a prelude to something far worse? Emma's heart thudded in her chest as she stared at the cloaked figure before them. The air crackled with tension, a charged anticipation suffocating in its weight. Mark stood tall, unyielding, every fiber of his being screaming for protection. Control? He challenged, his voice steady and fierce. You may command shadows, but you don't own my family. The figure tilted its head, amusement flickering in its dark eyes. Foolish bravado. Love is just a flicker in the dark. It can't banish the shadows forever. Emma felt the darkness pulsing around her, taunts mingled with rage, creeping closer. Despite her fear, she felt a surge of defiance. Maybe love isn't enough to banish you permanently, but it can free those who have fallen victim. With that declaration, the warmth emanating from her and Lily intensified. The energy shifted, expanding outward as Emma recalled every moment that had built their family. Each laugh shared, every scrape of knee kissed, every whispered bedtime story became fuel. Hold on tight, she urged, pulling Lily closer. For everyone we love we fight. Mark nodded, drawing from the same well of memories, his spirit intertwining with theirs. The trio formed an unbreakable circle, shielding each other from the encroaching darkness. Emma felt that fierce love weaving a protective barrier, shimmering like a radiant tapestry in the darkened void. The dark figure's laughter transformed into a menacing weasel as it stepped forward. You think your ephemeral light can rival the void? Let me show you the cost of meddling. With a snap of its fingers, the shadows lashed out, gripping for any vulnerability. They lunged like living tendrils, seeking to tear apart their united front. Each one sparked chaos into the atmosphere, losing its fight against the light with an agonizing scream. I won't let you win, Emma shouted, anchoring her resolve. She could hear the echoes of their family's laughter behind the tumult. Lily, focus. Remember, your bravery is part of our magic. The weight of cold fingers slipped against her back, chilling her spine, but Lily was resolute. I won't be afraid anymore, she exclaimed, lifting her chin high and channeling their bond into a glow that glimmered all around them. The shadows recoiled, leaving a stare of astonishment on the figure's face. Try again. But know this. Shadows have many faces and they're closing in. Suddenly, from the depths behind the cloaked figure, shifters began to emerge, each one twisted by shadow yet still flickering with fragments of humanity. The sight sent daggers of horror through Emma's heart. Look, she shouted, voice breaking but unyielding, they're still in there. We have to reach them. Mark's voice was steady, his love radiating as bright as a lighthouse cutting through fog. They're victims of darkness. With our light, we can help them remember who they are. As they pressed forward, Emma felt the love in her heart swell, pushing against the very essence of despair. Together they stood against the tide of malevolence, bolstered by the hope that simmers, no matter how deeply buried. But the cloaked figure raised its hands, shadows gaining strength in the denser darkness surrounding them. You're out of your depth. Sacrificing all for the lost? It leads only to ruin. As Emma looked at Mark and Lily, she saw the conviction reflected in their eyes. We're never out of our depth when we stand together, she declared. Love is a force unlike any other. Even shadows fear it. In response, the shadows screeched, a chaotic clamor as they writhed violently. This was a moment of truth. Would the shadows consume them? Or could their love shine through? Now, Mark shouted. Together. With the weight of their hearts they surged forward, fueled by determination. The moment intensified, a crescendo of emotions spilling over the battlefield. Could their light set these lost souls free? Or would despair claim them first? In that moment, as a storm of darkness converged, a piercing realization dawned upon Emma. What if love is the key to true liberation? Will that be enough to break this curse? With darkness still closing in, the answer lay in the unraveling journey ahead. What new challenges awaited? And at what price would they save those trapped in shadows? As their unified force collided with the darkness, Emma felt the ground tremble beneath them. It was like standing on the edge of a precipice, staring into an abyss. It terrified her. Yet the love wrapped around her and Lily gave her a sense of grounded strength. The shadows twisting around them were vile, hungry, creeping like serpents ready to strike. She could feel the whispers of the shifters, echoed emotions, fractured memories. "Help us!" they cried inside her mind, tugging at her heartstrings. "We want to come home." "No," the cloaked figure roared. Its voice cut through the air like a blade. "They are beyond redemption. Look at them." It flicked its wrist, and the shadows morphed into grotesque versions of the shifters Emma had known, once lively and brave, now mere hollow shells of anguish. Lily gasped, the light flickering slightly in response to the horror unfolding. Emma's heart broke for those lost to shadows. Each face, once familiar, was marred and twisted, just beyond her grasp. It ignited a fire of resolve within her. "We will fight for them. Keep pushing," Mark urged, his unwavering belief lifting Emma higher. "Love breaks through even the darkest shadows. Let it lead you." Emma focused her gaze on the nearest shifter, a fleeting glimmer of recognition igniting the air. A friend, a cherished one who needed saving. She reached deep within herself, feeling the warmth radiating from their bond. "Remember who you are," she shouted, pouring love into her words. As if responding to her, the shadow flickered like candlelight, searching for its lost essence. The figure trapped within stirred. Emma could see it, a spark of hope fighting against the encroaching abyss, and she reached out with all her heart. "We are here. We won't let you go. Stand firm." Mark's powerful voice cut through the chaos. "Whatever magic you've conjured, it must grow." Yet, in the haze of their fight, the darkness turned vicious. Tendrils lunged at Emma, swift as lightning, slashing through their barrier. For a moment despair clawed back. "No," Lily cried out, but Emma clasped her hand tighter, anchoring her. "We've faced worse. Believe in the power of love." With an explosive burst, the light expanded, swirling in a dazzling dance of hues. The shadows screamed as light pierced the veil. Emma's heart raced, adrenaline surging through her. Then, something unexpected happened. The shadows began to break apart, revealing the true faces beneath. The shifters emerged, though bruised and weary, glimmers of their former selves resurrecting in the light. It was a cosmic dance, a battle between despair and love. "Stay with us," Emma insisted, reaching for the ones who had been lost. A silvery memory floated around her, a dance, laughter ringing in their ears. "You belong with us. Remember." In that moment of connection, something within the once lost souls flickered to life. They turned towards the light, recognized it, reached back for the warmth Emma and her family offered. But the cloaked figure, infuriated, drew closer. "You think you can save them? They are forever marked by darkness." "No," Emma shouted back, conviction stirring within her. "Love lasts beyond anything. It grows brighter where shadows loom." As the shadows recoiled, Emma's light surged forth, expanding like the dawn chasing away night. The collective strength poured out, washing over the souls as they freed themselves from the shadow's grip. But just as a sense of triumph washed over them, a deep rumble echoed from the depths of the void. It was not over. The cloaked figure writhed, shadows swelling around it like a storm, and a chilling laugh sliced through. "Fools! You've merely awakened what lurks beneath." Emma's heart raced again, realizing they were not finished. What had they awakened? With shadows swirling in chaos and the air thick with danger, Emma steeled herself for what lay ahead. Could they vanquish the dark figure before them, or had they unwittingly summoned something far worse? A single question echoed in her mind. What waits beyond this darkness, and will love be enough to conquer the foe? Emma stood firm, her heart pounding in her chest like a war drum. The shadows danced menacingly as the cloaked figure pulsed with an overpowering darkness. "You may think you have won," it sneered, "but greater terrors lie ahead, and you've only just begun to unravel the strings of fate." "We will face whatever comes," Emma declared, her voice steady despite the rising tide of fear. The bonds of love she shared with Mark and Lily felt like a protective shield, wrapping around them in solidarity. "We are not alone." With a crackle of energy, the light emanating from their hearts pulsed outward like a beacon, pushing against the encroaching shadows. The once lost shifters, now flickering with remnants of humanity, stood with them, regaining their strength from that bond they had forged through collective memories of love and belonging. Emma could sense it, a flicker of hope igniting in their souls as they united in this desperate fight. Mark stepped forward, his form radiating confidence. Together we can break whatever holds you, even if that means sacrificing all we once thought we knew. His gaze swept across the faces of those around him, a silent promise of support and unity. The dark figure recoiled, shadows swirling around it like a tempest. You think bonds can shield you? Love is no match for despair. With a frantic wave, it summoned forth shadows that surged towards them like a tidal wave, seething with rage and hunger. Stand together, Emma shouted. Fight for each other. The very air shimmered as their voices united, a symphony of strength echoing into the storm. Emma reached deep into her heart, pouring everything she felt for her daughter and her family into their shared light. The warmth within her flared, illuminating the darkness that sought to consume them. Lily's eyes grew wide, reflecting the light as she chimed in, "We're not scared. We're brave." As the shadows surged closer, Emma instinctively extended her hands, drawing on the memories and love shared with every face before her. Collective laughter rang out, memories of better days hovering like glittering stars in the night sky. Whatever you think will stop us, we are more. Each word unified their energy, a barrier turning the shadows away. Just then the cloaked figure's voice sliced through the air, tense and filled with fury. "This is only the beginning of your end." With that, the figure reared back, its shadows coiling, unleashing an onslaught toward them. Emma's heart raced, but she held tight to Lily and focused on Mark, who nodded back with unspoken trust. They were ready to share the burden of this fight, to link their strengths without hesitation. Suddenly, an earth-shaking roar filled the air as the shadows lunged. But instead of retreating, they stood their ground, holding hands to create a powerful shield. The air crackled around them as light burst forth, pushing against the dark barrier, each pulse igniting stronger and brighter. "Now," Mark shouted, lifting their clasped hands, guiding the energy into a concentrated blast. Emma felt an electric charge race through her veins, fueled by the pure essence of family, love, and determination coursing between them as they unleashed their collective force. The shadows writhed in resistance, and a blinding light erupted, consuming the darkness around them. Emma felt the fabric of their struggle shift, the oppressive nature of despair loomed but slowly lost its grip, unraveling under the weight of fierce love. The cloaked figure screamed, its voice faltering as the shadows began to shatter. "No, you cannot." With one final surge of collective energy, the light exploded outwards, swallowing the shadows and liberating the souls trapped within. Emma felt their cries change from despair to joy, resonating in harmonious unity, igniting the air with joyous laughter as the cacophony of light and sound intermingled. The cloaked figure dissolved into nothing, caught in the purging warmth that enveloped everything in its path. The shadows peeled away, and in an astounding wave of brightness, the silhouettes of the shifters began to transform back into their true selves, smiling. "Emma!" Jake's familiar voice rang out, the shadows finally vanishing entirely. As the last remnants lifted, he rushed forward, his expression a mixture of disbelief and relief. "You did it!" Tears flowed down Emma's cheeks as she embraced him, her body relaxing in the sweet relief of victory washed in the aftermath of their struggles. "We did it, Jake. Together." Lily stepped forward, eyes sparkling with joy as she beamed up at them, laughter ringing like pure notes of a bell. "Now, can we play in the light?" she exclaimed, innocence radiating from her. Emma crouched to Lily's level, heart full to the brim. "Yes, my dear. We can all play forever." Around them the sun broke through the clouds, lighting up the forest with warmth and new beginnings. As the shadows faded into memory, Emma held Jake and Lily close, knowing that whatever lay ahead, they would face it as family. Love had not only united them but shattered the chains binding the cursed shadows of their past, revealing a brilliant future born from the power of that very bond. Emma smiled, radiant, fearless, and filled with love for her family. They were home, and with the warmth of those they had saved surrounding them, she knew they could create a world brighter than any they had imagined together. But the echoes of her thoughts came alive. "Make this promise real. Share our tale." And with that, the world was bright again. "Don't wait, not even one more second." You need to subscribe now to catch every moment of this incredible journey and more exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and help others find this transformational adventure. Comment below with your feelings about the ending. What resonated with you most? Your words matter. Share this video immediately with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful reminder of love and family. Only true fans understand how vital your support is for our channel to continue this journey. Spread the love.